Hi, I'm Matt.
Hey there, I'm Bianca.
And in this video, we're doing a review of Virgin Voyages, but from a swinger's perspective.
So stay tuned, we're the Traveling Swingers.
What a boat ride.
Oh my goodness, this has been an amazing experience.
Wow, so we've been on a lot of cruises.
Yeah, we've been on a couple.
Yeah, we've been on probably, I don't know, at least a dozen.
I don't know, I haven't counted, I haven't tried to count, I haven't tried to keep count.
But a lot of lifestyle cruises, a lot of vanilla cruises, and a lot of different cruise lines.
Right.
But we thought it'd be interesting to actually do kind of a viewpoint from a swinger's perspective on these Virgin Voyages. Yeah. So this is a new cruise line. If you're not familiar with Virgin Voyages, they were trying to start out in 2019, 2020, and then COVID hit, and that just kind of got delayed quite a bit.
Yeah, just a bit.
So we had actually bought tickets to this specific event back in 2019 for a 2020 summer trip, and that got delayed, and it got delayed again, and so now we're finally here, and it's been pretty darn amazing. We like a lot of things that happen on this ship. Virgin just kind of does things a little bit different than our normal cruise line. The biggest factor, of course, is that the biggest factor, of course, is that there are no kids allowed.
Yes.
So you have to be 18 to board in itself, and because of that, and that the ship was actually designed originally as an 18-plus adults-only cruise ship, that they didn't have to convert it or anything like that from using the old playgrounds or anything. And so they've designed everything from head to toe for adults only. Right. And they just kind of do these events here and there that are just random and fun, and they have beach parties and bonfire parties at their private island, and it's just amazing. And
the thing I appreciate too is all of their entertainment is definitely for adult crowds, and it feels like it's more for an adult crowd. You know, if you get offended by little things, an F-bomb here or there, then that might not be a show for you. But I think it was fantastic that they cater really toward adults, even through the entertainment.
Exactly, and we'll get into that too, because there was an actual show that even talked about swinging, which was crazy in itself. So before we actually boarded, we joined a couple of vanilla Facebook groups dedicated to this specific cruise.
Right.
And we wanted to kind of test things out to see how many swingers were really going to be on board. Now we did go with a group of lifestyle folks that were probably about 20-ish of us, but most of them weren't in this Facebook group. Okay, so we actually went in this vanilla Facebook group and we started posting things. I joined as Matt and Bianca, so it was our couples page, so that if someone actually clicked on our names, they could actually see who we are, what we do, all the other videos that we've done, all of those things, and people did. And so we joined that, and we started to say, hey, what's going on? This is what we want to do. These are the, we want to meet people and talk to people and and put our room number on there and put a little upside down pineapple on there. And it was interesting because right from the get-go, there was nothing negative.
Right.
And not that we were expecting things to be negative, but it was interesting to see that people were very, very accepting of non-vanilla culture on a ship like this. And so we, there were no issues at all, and in fact, out of nowhere, other lifestyle couples started to connect with us beforehand, long before the cruise, and said, hey, we noticed your profile and we'd love to grab a drink with you. And they were just random people on this boat as well. So you can just kind of tell that they are here. Now, obviously, it's not a large percentage of the cruise line because this is still a vanilla cruise line. But we also connected with people who clearly weren't lifestyle, but were fascinated by it, and were in that stage of
exploration, curiosity,
or communication with their spouse to see, you know, that's something that they want to get into, whether it was picking up a unicorn or you know, meeting another couple and that type of thing. I mean, we had some couples that messaged us and were like, yeah, one couple said, we're not swingers, but we do go to swinger clubs. We're perverts. We like to watch other people, and we'll gladly watch you guys. so there's a lot of that. So we felt very, very comfortable taking that a step further, and I bought a whole bunch of pineapple clothing, t-shirts, upside down pineapple t-shirts. And of course, if you don't know what an upside down pineapple means, it's basically the symbol for you are a swinger. And if you were on this cruise, you probably saw it quite a bit, because we weren't the only ones wearing them.
No.
In fact, the first day I remember wearing a shirt, and someone passed me by, a woman who had an upside down pineapple shirt on as well that I didn't know. I didn't know her at all, and I said, nice shirt. She said, nice shirt right back, or something along those lines, or she was first, whatever. And then we ended up meeting that couple a little later. But there are just a lot of people doing that, and they were just kind of like, we don't care.
Right.
Because we saw on this cruise and that there was just a lot of acceptance towards everybody from an adult perspective.
Right.
So
the cruise has very much felt like be yourself.
Yeah.
And no one's going to judge you for it, no matter what your sexual preference is, how you want to dress. I was having a conversation with a woman at the beach today who has had mastectomy, and she's single, and she's, you know, wanting to hook up or whatever, and she's, you know, said that she wore her dress for one of the nights, and it showed a bit, you know, was a little racier than she'd normally wear, and she looked at herself and thought, I can't wear this, you know, because I've got scars and all this, and she was like, you know what, I can wear this. I can absolutely wear this. Who's going to say anything? And so she had this little like pep talk with herself, and it was lovely to see her. And then today she's rolling around on the beach in the water, and taking selfies of her, you know, self. And so she found her confidence within that. And I thought that was just beautiful. And I love seeing everybody just like on the ship have this just beautiful confidence glowing from their skin, because they are in the skin that they want to be in on this ship, which is just lovely.
Right. And we've actually talked about that quite a bit in other videos about how we see that a lot in the lifestyle, whether we're going to hedonism in Jamaica or at a lifestyle club where people can be what they want to be and nobody's judging you. But it was really, really nice to see this in a vanilla setting, because we saw it. Absolutely. There were many gay couples. There were cross-dressers. There were other couples like us. There were a lot of unicorns that were very clearly interested in meeting couples, and that was nice in itself. And of course single guys as well. But it was just such a good feeling that nobody seemed to care. In fact, as the week went on, people did come up to us that clearly weren't interested in anything. They were not swingers, but they were fascinated by it because they just don't meet people who are just out in the real world. Right. And they just kind of wanted to have conversations and learn about us. And you can clearly see that people were kind of keeping an eye on us. They were just fascinated. Right. They were just fascinated over the week. And that was a really good feeling. Because this was really the first time that, I mean, we've been out for years. I mean, we've been doing these videos for over a decade. People know, but we've never actually just kind of been blatant like that in public. And it was fine. And so
you're always blatant no matter where you are, it seems like.
Well, that's true, but I'm not necessarily wearing t-shirts that say, look at me, I want to bang your wife. That's
I think you would, though.
Oh, yeah. If it got me to bang their wife, I'm okay with that.
It's just because you don't have that t-shirt yet.
That's right. Yeah, I'll buy that on Amazon right when we get home. So the second night we actually went to an event called Never Sleep Alone. And this is an event that if you've ever watched any videos or reviews about Virgin Voyages, it's talked about, because this is an event, it's a show, it's about an hour-long show, and it's very entertaining. There's music and singing and all this kind of stuff, but it's actually trying to have couples and individuals bring out their sexuality. And so we were like, we need to go to this, and we're probably not going to learn anything because we know a lot about the different types of sexuality, just again because we've been doing this so long. But we wanted to see what they had to say, and And so we went to this show, and immediately they were just, talking about how, at one point, you say the part that made you feel uncomfortable.
Most of you know me, I'm shy. I'm not, as outgoing, whatever. They had everybody put a mask on and then get up and go find someone that was wearing this, because they had 2 or 3, I think 3 different colored masks, and find someone who's wearing the same color mask as you and ask them some racy question. What would you want more of in bed, or something like that. I don't remember what. There were 2 questions.
What are your what is your biggest fantasy in bed, or something like that?
Yeah. So and that just made me uncomfortable, because I had to walk up to a stranger and talk about, because I think it's because I didn't have my answer. I didn't have a chance to think about my answer, and the question was a little broad, and I needed it brought down a little bit more.
Sure.
And so I was just kind of like, I don't even know what to say. And so I just kind of was like walking, and then I'd look and, they got a partner. I always hated that part in school when they made you partner up, because I was like,
But what was interesting about it was the fact that they actually had everybody wearing a mask, so that they could feel a little bit more comfortable in their anonymity, even though you could clearly see what they look like. But that you didn't know them; they were a stranger,
right.
and that you could actually go up to a stranger and say, "Hey, I have this fantasy that I would maybe like to explore, and not necessarily fulfill, but at least talk about it, or with my spouse, or whatever it might be." And
I shocked the shit out of the person I was talking to.
What'd you say?
I said that I'd like to have more men in my bed. It was like, what would you like more of in your bed? And I said men, and he goes, wait, and I said, yeah, like multiple men. And he's like more than one? I was like, yes. And he was taken aback, like, oh, whoa.
So this is funny. We haven't talked about this, because you know what I said.
No.
More women in bed.
That's not shocking at all.
Well, I know that, but it's funny that we have it basically the exact same thing. It's all about the quantity now. Quality is more important. But which is why we haven't had those experiences. So they talked about that, and then they started to bring people on stage and talk about what's sexy, what is seduction, how to have a good conversation with someone while dating, and then and they actually had a couple that didn't know each other. Well, I don't know if we should spoil that, but they did things that were a little racier than absolutely somebody who was vanilla would generally do, and it worked out great. And it was absolutely worth watching. And then it was interesting, at the very end, they said, hey, there's going to be an after party afterward. It's a singles event, and for couples that are interested in doing things or exploring. I don't remember the exact verbiage that they used, but the fact that actually swingers were kind of brought into that conversation at a vanilla event on a vanilla cruise is showing just how accepting this cruise line is towards people that are doing things that are a little more on the cuff or the fringe of normalcy, of vanilla. And that in itself has been great. That has just been great. That has been something that we have talked about. In addition to the fact, and we haven't really talked about that, but the cruise itself is really cool. They're definitely, it's a new cruise line, so there definitely are some hiccups, especially like you have an app that you need to use to do everything on board, book shows, all that kind of stuff, and there are definitely problems with it. Hopefully, over the years, they will fix that, because that's a mess.
I feel like that's my biggest complaint, is I just don't like to bring my phone with me everywhere.
Right.
So having to have that on me. I mean, I guess if you're already signed up for the stuff and you know where you're going, then you don't necessarily have to bring it with you.
Right.
No, that's not true, because a lot of the dining, you need the QR codes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, they clearly have built this ship, or at least the Virgin line, or however they work that, to have that Instagrammable pictures and make sure that you do this. So they have that a lot. They want you to have your phone on you so that you do basically share a lot of things. And people clearly are. I'm still looking at the Facebook group, and there's still people every day, tons of photos that they're taking. I mean, the ship is made for that. There's nothing wrong with that, but we've always been like, when we go on lifestyle cruises where it's the full ship takeovers, where very few people have their phones on them at all, because people want to just take a step back and go, go, hey, we're on vacation for a week. We don't want to be connected that way. We want to connect person on person and have meaningful conversations and actually talk to people, where this is definitely a ship where people are communicating, everybody's making friends. They do a very good job of making people connect with others, even just on a friend level. But you do tend to see a lot of people, including myself. I found that I happen to be on Facebook. Like I've even mentioned that numerous times in this video. And it's just that, which is unfortunate. It's a negative, but it's also a good thing that they're doing that. It's just,
I agree. I think it's great that you can have it, and it makes things easier. You're using less waste, less paper. I mean, it's another thing I love about this cruise line is they're all about conservation and ocean, being gentle to the ocean and that kind of stuff. And having the QR codes available instead of a paper menu is definitely better for the environment, especially if they're changing the menu, often, which they do.
But the positives of this cruise line far outweigh the negatives.
For sure.
We, like I said, we've been on a lot of cruises on a lot of cruise lines, and as something that we've talked about quite a bit is that this cruise line has figured out what adults like, even though they didn't know that they were missing those things.
That's true.
And it is quite genius, and a lot of it is honestly the things that we don't want to share, that they have these just kind of surprise things that happen. With the first night, we just happened to be walking around and we suddenly got sucked into this giant dance party where they were like doing the hokey pokey and of all things, and hundreds of people were doing it. It was crazy. And it was in the big dance club with the neon lights and all that kind of stuff, and it was just like, this is wild. This is like, there's just so much of that type of thing where you can just kind of go down a corridor and something weird or unusual is happening, but people just are digging it. And it's crazy. It's crazy. And so, but we're not the only ones to say that, because a lot of people in our group have also been on a lot of events, and they're just, oh my God, wouldn't it be amazing if a lifestyle cruise was on this cruise? Because that would be two amazing worlds mixed together. Because, like I said, these people have figured out what adults like, vanilla adults, lifestyle, whatever, across the board. Last night they had a pool party, and suddenly people started jumping into the pool, including us, with our clothes on at 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was wild. And women's tops were coming off, and that we saw boobs. And and of course they do have what they call the perch, which is this level up on the very top of the ship where women can sunbathe topless. Unfortunately, it seems like it's kind of an ignored area. People in our group, and there were a lot of people on the ship that were doing that. However, there's no music up there, there's no drinks up there, there's no food up there, so you kind of have to go and grab it somewhere else and bring it up.
Not a hot tub. It's really just like a small little section that they have some loungers.
But the fact that they actually have that, and they think of that, and they say, hey, there are some women who want to take their tops off, or have never done this at home. I'm going to be crazy and take my top off in public on the ship. And the fact that exists, and then again, when we were at the pool party, that we actually saw women, and a lot of them didn't seem, I wouldn't say were drunk. They were just in this, just like us, we were just kind of in this crowd vibe where you were just having so much fun that you just joined in the fun, whatever that might be. And that was amazing. That was it's a really good feeling. And I never got vibes of creepy dudes or people touching each other inappropriately or any of that. Like, I never saw anything like that. Which is, it's just great. It's just great. So we're like, wow, we need to do more of these cruises. Like, we give this the big seal of approval. It's crazy.
One of the other things I wanted to talk about too was, oh my goodness, you guys, the food choices are incredible. I've never had such good food on a ship. I love cruising, and I usually go, and it's like, I don't care about, I'm not going for the food. When we cruise, we both say that. And, we've been on some different lines. The food's okay. It's not, I always struggle with breakfast and lunch. I love usually the formal dinners. But, here I have not had anything I didn't love. They've got great vegan and vegetarian options, pescatarian if you just eat fish. They've got, last night someone had at one of the restaurants a tomahawk cut
steak
of beef.
Yeah.
Like, oh my, giant. And then they also have like seafood towers, and we had oysters and all sorts of stuff. Like, they have, the variety is definitely there, but also it all tastes and feels gourmet.
Yeah.
Everything from the overnight oats for breakfast to,
Yeah, and I think that's like, it goes back to what I was saying, that everything is they're trying to be Instagrammable about everything.
Oh, I definitely took way more pictures of my food than I ever have
Before.
Yeah,
and but you had taken a class on how to take a picture.
Well, I took a class on a mixology class, and in that mixology class, they talked about how to take Instagrammable pictures, which is kind of cool.
Like,
and they also had like another class on how to take good sunset pictures and that kind of stuff. So they have very different classes and things like that on a ship that I've never seen before. Oh my gosh, my favorite one was an exercise class. It's called like VHS.
VHS 80s, what's the guy's name? Simmons.
Well, that was
Simmons.
the S.
Yeah.
The V stood for something, Virgin, H something, S was Simmons. Headbands.
Headbands
Was the first one. But anyways, so it was all set to 80s music. The staff that taught it was fantastic. They were so much fun. And it was like a 55-minute class, into the oldies, and
they asked people, like beforehand, they said, hey, when you're coming, come to this event and bring your 80s gear, like your 80s headbands. And there were women in the, big old, the leggings and all that kind of stuff. And then they had another one, although we missed it, but because it was the same day, but it was a 90s boy band exercise class. Yeah. It's like stuff like that. It's like they're focusing on this nostalgia for people our age, that and we're just eating it up. I mean, but it was cool.
It was cool.
There's just so much of that.
I got him to go to this 80s dance
class
with me.
Come on,
He had a blast.
I went to a cardio class, like, and it was totally jazzercised. I mean, it was just like cheesy moves and stuff like that, but it was so much fun.
And we got a good sweat.
and that's right. If you're gonna work out, you might as well have fun doing it.
That's right.
Just a lot of those things.
Yeah.
There were just so many of those things constantly, from first thing in the morning until late in the evening, and you just kind of never know what you're going to do. And so even though this really, people have only been going on these cruises for a short period of time, we've talked to numerous people that have just done it again and again and again, because they just have so much fun, and it's easy to miss stuff because there's a lot of different things going on at different times. But that's the case on any cruise. But the fact that there are a lot of surprises and things that you don't necessarily know about makes it just you want to do it again. What did I miss? What did I or a show that you saw and you loved and you just want to see it again. Mm-hmm. We saw this other show,
Dual Reality. Incredible show. Like the Chinese pole dancing and hula hoop stuff and cirque acts, and oh my god, I was like on the edge of my seat and just like had a stupid grin on my face the whole time because I loved it so much. It was a blast. Yeah. So much fun. Yeah, the shows have really been very quality.
Sure. So again, from a swingers perspective, like we love this. This is a really good. It'll cover a lot of bases. I think if you are brand new to the lifestyle and you're kind of talking to your spouse and you're like, hey, we kind of want to do these things, or we kind of want to meet some people, maybe have a little sexy atmosphere, whatever it might be, this is an ideal cruise for that. We've also talked in the past about Temptations Resort in Cancun, which was actually the very first place that we ever played with anyone else, because it was the same type of thing, where that was a demographic of, I always say, a third swingers, a third women who are just excited to take their tops off in public, and a third single guys. So it was a lot more party atmosphere, and there were a lot more dudes there. But it was still a good stepping stone without being wild and crazy. I'm going to go on a swinger cruise with 5,000 people, and everybody's going to want to have sex with me. It is not that. This is not that cruise. However, if you're looking, you can find these people. Right. There's no question. Putting it out there, if you're looking, you can find the people on board that are on the same level as you, or much further along than you. They are on these boats, and I would tend to believe they're going to be on every single one of them. Sure. It doesn't matter which week it is or anything like that. If you are further along, if you have been swinging for years, I also recommend it, because, like I said, we've been doing this forever, and there are people like us, but it was also, interestingly enough, a nice to be a little off this week, to not be just kind of. when you're on a lifestyle cruise, you're looking to date. You're on the hunt. You're on the hunt constantly. Whether it's day or night, you want to meet as many people as you can. You want to connect with as many people as you can. You want to dress to the nines constantly, because that's what you're doing. So like those, I never want to get drunk on those or anything like that. Where there was a time or two here where I'm just like, I don't have anywhere to be in the morning. I can drink more than I usually do because it's not that big a deal. I'm not gonna go try to have sex with somebody and then end up with whiskey dick or something like that. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But if I was looking for that, I can do that as well.
Right.
So but it was really nice to just kind of be in a situation with other adults in a non-lifestyle venue. But I can still be myself and talk and be open and comfortable without holding back like I do in 95% of my life.
Yeah.
And that is a good feeling, and that's why we're absolutely going to be back. We're trying to figure out how to host an event on one of these future cruises.
Yeah.
We don't have dates yet, but keep an eye out below because we will actually be posting something on there where we actually do have a big event just on one of these ships and one of these Virgin ships, and we want you to come with us.
Yeah.
And whether you're brand new or vanilla or you're just hardcore swinger, whatever, it doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. It's just the more people that you know on this boat, the more fun you're gonna have, and it doesn't matter where they're at compared to where you're at. It's that cool.
Yeah.
When we're you can tell we're just kind of busting at the seams about how great this was because it was pretty great.
Yeah.
It was pretty
I
good.
can't wait to come back.
Yeah.
They have a tattoo place on board. I might have to get another one.
That's right. Yeah, there's a tattoo shop on board.
I think 3 or 4 people of our group got tattoos. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And of course, if you are interested in any lifestyle event or lifestyle adjacent event, if you just like to be around cool people like us without doing the things, that's okay too. And we do deal a lot with the company swingeropenpoly.com, so check out that website, see all the events that are actually happening, all the trips that are going on, cruises and we have a trip to Mexico coming up, we have a trip to Whistler, Canada coming up, and then they're already talking about next year and the year after that about some pretty amazing things. So things that we don't know yet, but you can actually see by clicking on the link below and checking out those awesome events that are coming up.
Yeah.
All right, so you give this a thumbs up?
Oh, this is 2 thumbs up.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you soon.